We lost ourselves, lost our dream. In the pursuit of great, we failed to do good.
Wow, I can't believe we're already here. After waiting 3 years, this is the end. The first part of season 2 I thought was pretty damn good. Although after being out a couple weeks, I've heard the discourse online. And while most loved it, there's some that said it felt a little rushed. Like for instance, the formation of the Enforcer Squad and them hunting Jinx. Some thought that could have been at very least several episodes, if not more. Same with Jinx turning from a villain which she seemed to be heading indefinitely, since her turn at the end of season 1. But pretty quickly she turned into a sympathetic anti-hero almost immediately, as well as quickly taking out the other Zon gangs. Rewatching those episodes, I can definitely see the criticism, but still, all in all, I thought it was a strong start. Part 2, I haven't heard the larger discourse yet, other than people being surprised by the big bombshells, like Jayce apparently going mad and killing off Viktor, and Aisha dying. For me, while it was shocking and well handled, perfectly pulling off the second act low point, however, Part 3 has a lot to live up to. It has to not only satisfyingly answer all the questions we've had so far, but also has satisfying arcs for all the characters, which is a lot. Then after that, wrap up the entire series, which is a hell of a tall task. Did they pull it off? First, spoilers of course, and it's complicated. On one hand, I think the answer to why Jayce killed Viktor makes sense. Essentially, Jayce saw the future and it wasn't good. Hextech and Viktor destroy Piltover, and it makes sense why Jayce did what he did. But for me, Viktor didn't seem like a villain. He seemed caring and wanting to help people. You would think if he was evil, he would have did what Singe wanted, and made a cure to death by killing Vander. You would think he would see obvious flaws about Viktor, which some will say having a cult and having the power to control is bad. I mean, a cult is only bad if they do bad things and he asserts control. But we only saw him do that a couple times, and only when he needed to talk to someone. It wasn't just Viktor puppeting them the whole time. Again, maybe we're supposed to infer he was bad as soon as he chose to cure people, but I just didn't get that. I think they should have better shown his downsides than what they did. Then there's Jayce. Don't you think he should have told Viktor what he saw? Not only the future and how Hextech destroys Piltover, but that the future version of Viktor told him to stop. Now you could say he wouldn't believe him, but what is the harm of trying to explain? Also, wouldn't Viktor be able to use his powers to see what Jayce is saying is true? Now maybe Jayce wouldn't want to do that, with the fear that Viktor would control him. Again, I don't think Viktor was evil at the time, but I can understand why he didn't want to. Also, don't you think future Viktor would have told Jayce more? I mean, he had plenty of time. He could have explained exactly what to do. Either the exact words that would convince Viktor to stop, or exactly what to do to permanently stop Viktor. Like if Jayce would have went for Viktor's head, or completely blown him to pieces, which is extreme but necessary. Look, I'm sorry for sounding more negative than I intend or would like to. Look, visually the show is as good as ever. I mean, the animators and artists are some of the best in the business. The action scenes are incredible, along with stellar voice acting. They're the MVPs of the show. I mean, I really liked Echo's episodes in the alternate dimension. I thought it was really cool to see Powder if she never turned into Jinx. Although it's sad to see Heimerdinger go, especially since I feel they didn't give him enough time to him this season. And for me, this is what holds back the season. The pacing problems, and rushing through the story. For me, it felt very fast for Viktor to turn into such a villain. It felt like it needed more time. Again, I don't envy the creators for having so much to do in so little time. It just felt like things happened very quickly, especially in the last episode. Jinx goes from wanting to end it all to being gung-ho, in helping in the end fight. I know we're supposed to infer that Echo's talking to the alternate dimension Powder is supposed to explain what he said to convince her, but I still would have liked to seen that conversation. The end battle was also good. I liked the confrontation of Mel, her mother, and Caitlyn, but for me the season hinged on how they handled Jayce, Viktor, Vi, and Jinx. Although I didn't necessarily like how they got there, I thought how it ended was pretty good. Although Vi and Jinx, while it was a cool battle between them and Vander, I really didn't like how Jinx went out. It felt pretty clumsy to me. Like for such a great character, I really wanted her to have an epic death. Instead she dies and it was sort of underwhelming. And after the battle, the season wraps up pretty damn fast, then credits. And I felt...
I know you can be overwhelmed, and you can be underwhelmed, but can you ever just be whelmed?
It didn't feel like a series ending. It felt like a season ending. And I get they were tasked with such a burden. It just felt like it needed more time. Either with more episodes or longer episodes. Or another season. It just felt like they were tasked with juggling so many characters. And turning Viktor into a villain so quickly. And it being the series end. And the expectations of having to end it in a satisfying way. Kind of hurt the season in my eyes. Now maybe with rewatches this will change. But for me the first season was great. And this season was good with kind of an average ending. Which if it wasn't Arcane Arcane and it was just another show, I wouldn't feel as disappointed. But with all the expectations, it's kind of like a kid that always gets A pluses, getting a B minus or a C plus. I'm sorry to be the bringer of sour news, and believe me, no one wanted to love part 3 more than me, but I'm not gonna lie to you. But again, maybe with more time it will get better in my mind. I'm hoping it does. But at the end of the day, this is just one man's opinion. If you have a different one, no one's taking that away. In fact, I hope you love the show.